Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic. Now it's Monday today, and we've had an earnest request to take a look at this puzzle. Timid Dominoes by Serkan Yurekli, the brilliant constructor, probably the most prolific constructor of puzzles on the world scene. Now this puzzle appeared in the 2017 US Puzzle Championship. Now, the US Puzzle Championship, it's an annual event and it is marvellous. Anyone who's watching this channel, I really recommend it to you. It always has the highest quality puzzles. It's a 2.5 hour test, and it really is a way of sort of benchmarking yourself against the world's best solvers. I've just looked at the results from this exam, and Thomas Snyder finished the entire test within 2.5 hours. Now that is absolutely extraordinary. Even Ken Endo, I see, he was about 315 points out of a maximum 370. But Thomas finished the whole thing. It's just remarkable. Now this puzzle is a 30-point puzzle. We'll look at the rules in a second. But that means, I think, to finish it, Thomas has to go at about 2.5 points a minute. So this for him is a sort of 10-minute puzzle. For us, I suspect it will be something longer. Now, Cameron asks a very interesting question. He says he always enjoys the US Puzzle Championship, and he tries to work through all of the hard puzzles. But he's not a fantastically fast solver, but he can normally find a way into these puzzles if he gives it enough time. And he spent a long time on this and has no idea how to even start it. And he wonders whether you need a sort of a Rain Man-esque ability to sort of see the solution. Now, I don't know, but because I've not tried the puzzle yet, but I am sort of 99.99% certain there will be no need to be Rain Man to solve this puzzle. The US Puzzle Championship is extremely fair in terms of the puzzles it publishes, and there's almost always, well, there is always, in my experience anyway, a logical way to make progress. So we just have to try and find it. Now, let's take a look at the rules of this puzzle. So we've got to place given dominoes into the grid so that the numbers outside the grid indicate the sum of the digits in the corresponding row or column. Dominoes must all be interconnected but can only touch at a corner, never on an edge. And you can see there's sort of an example structure there using just 3 dominoes. Now in the real puzzle here, let's look at this. You can see there are loads of dominoes. So a whole plethora of dominoes we've got to somehow place into the grid. Now if you want to try the puzzle, and please, I recommend it, just click on the link under the video. That'll take you to our software where you can have a go. Now I just want to show you some statistics from this puzzle. So here you go. You can see this puzzle was the least attempted in the actual US Puzzle Championship. It was attempted by what looks like about 5% of the people, with 0 errors of those who did actually manage to solve it. So you can see this is the most difficult puzzle on the whole test. So it's going to be a challenge, I think. Okay, now here's the puzzle in our software. Now I'm going to provide 2 links, I think, today. There's this one where I've got the dominoes that we've got to place under the grid, and that's going to allow me to sort of tick them off as and when I manage to place them. But I guess that might be too small for some of you if you're doing the puzzle on your phone. So I'll provide another link as well, which is just the sort of puzzle itself, and you'll have to remember the dominoes. Now, how would I start this? Well, the first thing that my eyes are drawn to, and I accept that this is probably not, if you're not used to solving puzzles, this is probably not where you would start, but it's the right hand side actually. Look, we don't know the number for this row of the grid, but we can work it out because we can just sum these numbers on the right hand side and then sum up the numbers we've got in all of the dominoes we've got to place, and we know that the difference will be this row's number. So let's start with that and see what that tells us. So which way should we go? Let's go 22, 31, 78. So we need 78. I've got to remember that now. So 78. Now let's add up all of these domino digits then. 106, I think. So what's 106 minus, was it 78? 28. So these cells in this row have to add up to 28. Well, that's massively restricted because clearly we can't make 4 cells add up to 28 because the maximum digit we can put in a cell is a 6. And in fact, just looking at the dominoes quickly, we've got 2 dominoes that can have a 6 in them, but all of the other dominoes don't have a 6. So 28, that must be 3 6s and 2 5s. So I'm going to write that in. And if it's 3 6s, we've only got 3 6s in the dominoes. So this must be a double 6. So there we go, we're straight off and running. And I'm going to have to note that these are dominoes as well. So let's use purple to indicate dominoes. We've found the double 6, so let's remove that one. Now maybe we can use the geometry now to make more progress. So this domino has to attach to all the other dominoes. So you can see it can't go upwards, so it must go that way. Therefore this becomes a domino. All of these become not dominoes. This can't be a domino because it's an isolated cell. This can't be a domino because if it is, these 2 squares would both be dominoes and they'd hit this domino. So that must be a domino. And again, we get to place the green cells around it. So this square must be a domino now. And either of these 2 yellow squares must be a domino. So this square cannot be a domino. This square can't be a domino because otherwise, again, we have the same problem we have with that one. And whether or not this domino here is going downwards or going upwards, it always needs to get out of this area. Now, if you look at it, in every situation, this square must be a domino. We don't know whether it's that way or that way, but I suspect with this puzzle it's going to be very important to try and isolate the pattern of the dominoes early. Now, now hang on, this can't be a 6 because if it is, that square would be a 5. That would give us 11 in the column. This column is only 8, so this must be a 5. And therefore it must look, the only 5 domino with a low enough total to equal 8 is the 5-3 domino. Everything else is a 5-4 or bigger, so this is a 5-3 domino, which means we can delete it from our pattern. And sorry about this, I'm going to have to think again. 6. There's 6 here, so we know this column, if it contains another domino, will have to have a 0. I suppose it could have a double 0 up in the corner there. Now something else I've noticed. Look at the way this has been designed. It's beautifully done. We know that these dominoes on the left-hand side of the grid have eventually got to attach to this domino on the right-hand side of the grid. And look, they can't come through this area here. That's isolated. So there's only one other point of connection of the left side of the grid with the right side of the grid, and that's through that area there. So somehow there must be a construction which is going to allow dominoes to flow through this area. Let me just... Yeah, now look, if this domino comes horizontally like that, then you can see that there would have to be a domino here. And now how on earth do we get through this region? We can't. This is completely isolated. So this is not the pattern that we need to go. This must go upwards. And now there must be a domino there. Now in order to, we've got to keep this going now, so that must be a domino. I see. And now the only place we can extend from is this square. This square must be a domino. And the domino will either come that way or that way. So this square is not a domino. Now, if this... yeah, this is interesting as well. Any domino that goes upwards through this region can't get out. However we do it, will... You know, if this, for example, was a domino, this could not be a domino here, and that would isolate this region. So these two squares must connect to each other along this area here. So we need to keep this going. Now, if this is the domino, that means that will be a domino and that will be a domino. And if this is a domino, so this square is always a domino. So either the domino does that or it does that. So these two are not dominoes. Therefore, this is a domino. Either of these two must be a domino. Therefore, this is not a domino. And if the domino comes this way at this point, it can't. Look at this. This is fascinating. I mean, it's such a beautiful design. If the domino that starts in this square comes this way, how does it connect to this domino? It's impossible. It just can't do it. There would have to be a domino here, and now this square is isolated, because if I put a domino in those two positions, they are orthogonally connected. So this actually is forced. That must come down there. Therefore, that fixes the shape of the dominoes in this corner, look. And we still need to get to this domino somehow. We can't come across the top without an orthogonal connection, so this must be a domino. And if we come this way, this cell is isolated again. Good grief. Now that must be green. So we end up getting quite a lot of the pattern done. And now we know one of these squares is a 6, so the other one will be a 5, and that will poke a 5 down into the bottom row of the grid. And the bottom row of the grid has to add up to 12. But... So one of these will be a 6 and a 5, and one of them will be a 5 and some other digit. Well, that digit has to be, because 6, 5 will be used up, it will have to be a 5 or a 4. So these two cells have to sum to a minimum of 9. They are 9 or greater. In fact, they are 9 or 10. Now, if that's the case, the maximum value of this square is 3. Now, does that matter? I'm wondering, because obviously 13 is very constrained if we've only got 3 digits to do it. So the maximum value of this square is a 3. And if it was a 2, these two squares would have to add up to 11. And they can't, because we know the 6, 5 is one of these. So this has to be a 3. These two have to add up to 10 without using a 6, because the 6, 5 is in one of these two. So this must be the double 5. So one of these is a 6, 5, and one of these is a 5, 4. And therefore this must be a 0. Goodness. Now I can't put 0 in, on the software. Although I can put it in the dominoes when I set up the puzzle, I can't yet put zeros in here. So I'll have to use I'll use 8 to indicate a 0. So I can get rid of that domino. Which other dominoes have I got? I've got double 5. Get rid of that one. I know that one of the... Well, I'm actually going to highlight both of those dominoes in blue because I know their position approximately. And I want to keep track of the fact now that if we look, I've used all of the 5 dominoes up. In fact, looking at this, it's interesting. There's no 4-0 domino. And there was a 3-0 domino, but we've found it. Okay, so what can we deduce from this? Oh, look, in the 8 column, which I've already got 8 in, I've got another domino, a complete domino. So this must be the 0-0. Wow. Oh, my phone's ringing. 1 second, I have to pause. Right, sorry about that. Now, I just think I got the 0-0 domino. So that must restrict this column now, because we can't have this square can't be a domino because it would have to be a 0-0 domino. Similarly with that one. Oh, this is so clever. Look at this. These 2 squares also can't be dominoes now, because putting a domino in either of these positions forces a vertical domino, which would have to be a 0-0 domino, and it can't be. Now that square, can that just be a domino that go... Ah, this can't be a domino for a different reason. If this is a domino, it can't connect to another domino, so that's not a domino. And in fact, we can be a bit careful here, because if this square is a domino, it can't come vertically, it would have to go horizontally, and then it would be isolated. That is not connected to another domino, so that's not in. So that would be okay. That would be okay. But this row is now quite restricted, isn't it? Because, in fact, it's very restricted. Because look, we've used all our 5 dominoes up. So the maximum value of this square is 4. And then we've got 2 spaces left, which have to equal 5 at least. So there's no way that just one of these squares is in. They must both be in. Oh, that is huge. Now that can't be in. This must connect down because it can't connect over the top. This is in. Therefore, that's not in. This 5 is very... I suppose when you can have zeros, it's not too bad. 6. That can't be in. 14. So this is either 5-4 or 6-5. If it's 6-5, that would have to be a 0. And that breaks. We can't make this a 0 because then I have the same problem I just talked about. I need 3 squares to add up to 14 without being able to use a 5 twice. And I can't do that. That's definitely not right. So this is not 6-5. So this is 5-4. This is 6-5. And that means I can turn those black again and this square, in fact, now we know it can't be 0 or the 14 breaks, so it has to be a 1 or a 2. Otherwise it breaks the 11. And that means the minimum those two squares have to add up to is 7 without using a 5. So these two must be either 3 and 4 or 4 and 4. Ah, look, the 10 row. We've got the same thing. I need these two squares to add up to 7 without using a 5. So this must be a 3 or a 4. I'm just wondering whether we're going to be able to isolate all of the dominoes that can contain 3s and 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 7 dominoes that contain a 3 or a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 3 more to find. Ah, that one. Look, this domino here, in fact, is the 3-4 domino because it's the only domino in the column adding up to 7. So that is the 3-4 domino. We know where that one goes, so we'll do that one in blue. That was our 5th 3-4 domino. So there are 2 more dominoes to find that have a 3 or a 4 in them. One of them is going to have to be in this column, surely. Oh, in fact, hang on a minute. We've got this 8 as well in the top row. How on earth are we going to fill that? Yes, here's some logic. This could be a domino. That is possible, and that would reach the top row. But you can see that's never, this square is never going to be enough to equal 8 on its own. And if this square is a domino, this is not a domino. And so we still need one of these 3 squares at least to be part of a domino. But how do we reach one of these 3 squares? The only way is via this domino here. So this domino must connect to a domino that somehow allows me to reach the top row. Therefore, that must be a domino. And in fact, this is brilliant. That means that's a domino. Therefore, that's not a domino. So this could, I suppose, be a double 4, couldn't it? Is there anything stopping that being double 4? Don't know. Oh, hang on. Hang on a minute. Look, we've got a 3 and a 4 in this column. And this is a 7 total, and this is also... This is very restricted though, because if I make this square a 4, this has to be a 3, and then this would have to be a 0, but the 3-0 domino is gone. That was the 3-0 domino. So this is a 4. Sorry, not a 4. This is not a 4, it's a 3. Now there is no 4-0 domino, full stop. If you look down here, we saw that earlier. So this is not, this is a 3. Therefore this is a 1 to make the column work. So we've found the 3-1 domino. This is a beautiful puzzle, isn't it? It's a beautiful puzzle, but imagine trying to find this logic in 10 minutes. How long is it? 20 minutes I'm into this already. Holy moly. Right, well, we've got the 3-1 domino, so this can't be a 3-1 domino, so it must be a 3-2 domino. Let's delete that one as well. Ah, now that's interesting, because now in the 11 column, we've filled it. This can't be a domino, because if this is a domino, it has to be the 0-0, and we've already found the 0-0. So this in the top row must be the 4-4. Brilliant, let's get rid of that. So this domino here must add up to 2, so it's either going to be a 2-0 domino or a 1-1 domino. This, if we look at row 2 of the grid, we've got a 0, we need that to be a 3 to make the total work. Ah, now hang on, we've got 2 more. How many 3 dominoes or 4 dominoes have we got now? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I'm getting confused now because I've deleted a load of them. Okay, how many unspecified? So the 3, 4 is that one. There are 3 other. Yes, that's it. Look, 1, 2, 3. So we've now found all the dominoes in this puzzle that contain a 3 or a 4. Now, can we use that? Oh, I could have just written a 4 in here. Look, I've just spotted that. That rows adds up to 10. So this must be a 1 or a 2, because it can't be the 4-3 domino and it can't be the 4-4 domino. Sorry, excuse me. This this column adds up to 7. So this is a 0. So these 2 dominoes here have to add up to 7 without using a 3 or a 4 domino. So that must be double 2 domino and the 1 and the 2 domino. So that fixes those. I'm going to highlight those in blue because we now know the location of those. We've got... we can do this row, of course, as well. So that adds up to... that must be a 4. Therefore that must be a 1 or a 2. We've already looked at the 4. So this is a 4. This is a 4. So this must be the double 3. That's the only possibility there. Let's get rid of that one. Now here's cool. 3 plus 4 plus 2 is only 9. Therefore this square must always be a part of a domino because of the 10 total. We've got a lot of dominoes now. How many dominoes did I have originally? I had 19 dominoes. How many have I placed? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I need one more domino. So it's either that one or that one. But look, we've got a 17 total here. This column adds to 17, so that's not a domino. Therefore, that must be the last domino, and that's green. What a beautiful puzzle. Now look, if we look at this row, it's got a 5 total. If I make this a 4, as these two have to be at least 1, that breaks it. So this is the 3, this is the 4. Let's colour that domino in. We've done that domino now. This, for the same reason, this could never be a 2, because that would, the 1 here would break it. So this is a 1, this is a 1, this must be a 0. That places the 4-1, which means that one is the 4-2. And 7. Now in this column, all of the rest of the digits must be 2 in order to get to 7. So that gives us those ones. I think we're, unless I've made a mistake, we're on the home stretch now. This must be a 1 in order to make the 6 work. This, hang on, there's a possible ambiguity there. We'll come back to that. Yeah, that must be a 1. So that's the 1-0 domino up there. And this row adds up to 2. So this is the 2-0 domino. This must be the 1-1 domino. And let me just have a stare at this. I think that looks right. What a beautiful puzzle. Now, so you didn't need to be Rain Man to crack it. You needed a little bit of luck at the start to notice this gap in the rows. That gave us the key thing, I think, about solving the puzzle, which is some definite positions for some domino pieces. And then it was incredible the way that Serkan has designed this so that there is actually an extremely narrow path of dominoes forced as a result of these initial placements. Loved that. Absolutely gorgeous. Let me know in the comments how you found it, and we'll be back soon with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.